Let me remind you guys what we last talked about with Razzle Dazzle. I'm not going to play his whole video. He had a couple long ones, but he was afraid. His videos about how he's going to expose Mike Johnson.
I had provided this information to my legal team, and it was then provided to a trusted media outlet. I no longer have this information in my possession. I know this is not what you were hoping to hear today, but rest assured this information will be out. I haven't stopped shaking in 3 days.
Razzle Dazzle Mo was shaken after he had those declarations and threats to go ahead and expose Mike Johnson. As I went to the weekend, I was put up on this particular streamers and podcasters page, Reese Waters. I'm sure many of you guys know he seems to have a pretty popular page. I'd seen him before, but I'd forgotten his name. And I went through his discussion about this. And he had a couple of instances of more things that I hadn't seen before. One of those folks that Reese Waters, by the way, you guys check out his whole thing. He talked extensively about it. I went to a guy's page that he referenced real quick. And I said, wait a second, I saw a TikTok handle there. Let me go find who CJ Baker Fitness is. And this is one of the things I found on this page. I'm going to go ahead and freeze it on one of these frames, or both of them actually, to show you guys what it is that CJ Baker Fitness posted that I don't know if it's somehow related to Razzle Dazzle, but it's definitely it's worth considering. Let's put it that way. This is the alleged account back and forth from what it is that Mike Johnson, they said, was saying to some unknown person on Grindr as far as a potential meetup. It says, what luxurious hair you have. Of course, Mike Johnson is the blue. And it says, and the respondent says, thank you. I would return the favor in giving you a compliment, but I don't know what you look like. And then he says, are you in town for a couple of days visiting DC? He said, yes, I am. Are you offering me a tour? To which allegedly Mike Johnson says, I can give you one. Here's where it gets, pretty salacious. I have a few contacts. We can go to the Dabney for dinner, and then back to my place, and I can blow your brains out while pulling on that luxurious hair. Jesus. Responds back to, oh, straightforward, I see, LOL, especially from a man who won't show his face. He says, very discreet man with a few kids, not trying to mess up my situation. And then to which, as I just moved to this next slide, again, posted by this back and forth, as you heard with that music behind it, what time should I pick you up from your hotel with Mike Johnson's face there, looking that you probably don't want to look at. Again, I saw this from another third party, but then I went directly to his page to see where that came from. Let's hear from CJ Baker Fitness himself, because he said he got calls and maybe in some point some threats. But let's start with this one explanation that he had for what it is, the information that he had.
So PolitiFact messaged me inquiring about the Mike Johnson Grindr conversation. And they wanted to verify that this was a true story. And they asked to speak directly to the person who was making these claims. And so I messaged the person and I said, PolitiFact wants to message you. Do you want to talk to them? Well, he said no. Obviously, he wants to remain anonymous. The only reason why he shared it with me is because he's been following me and he trusts me. So I told them that he said he's not willing to do that. And PolitiFact went through with the story and claimed that there's no truth to it and it's a false story because the picture that he shared was from March 5th, 2025. And so then I reached back out to the person and I said, hey, they're saying that this picture was from March 5th, 2025. What gives? And he responded and said, no. This picture was from 2023. And he sent me an uncropped version of the conversation with the date. And it checks out. That picture was sent in 2023. So he was having this conversation on Grindr with Mike Johnson, allegedly, in 2023, which was before Mike Johnson became Speaker of the House. This is another argument that PolitiFact is making, that why would the Speaker of the House be sharing his picture and be meeting at a public place and blah, blah, blah. This was before he was Speaker of the House.
I don't know, bro. So now we're left trusting CJ Baker Fitness, who apparently is bringing further receipts than even that we saw not much from Razzle Dazzle Mo there. But even a PolitiFact check asked all these questions and didn't maybe get all the information that they needed to confirm it. So they went to denying it. Maybe he should have given them that extra level of evidence with the date at the top being from 2023, which also goes to which was my first question. Why would Mike Johnson put his face in front of a photo and send it over Grinder when he's the Speaker of the House and we know all of his stances? But before, how many of you guys heard of Mike Johnson before he became Speaker of the House? I hadn't. But allegedly all this is happening. And here's more from CJ Baker.
I just received a call from the FBI that I need to take down the Mike Johnson photo. I guess it's making Mike not feel good, and I guess he's having a really bad day. But I was sent that by someone on Instagram. Ow! Ow, my neck. And he said that it's true, and he said that this is something that had taken place in D.C., and that if I wouldn't mind sharing it, he would really appreciate that. And so that's what happened. And but unfortunately, I probably should delete it because I don't want Mike to have a bad day.
FBI contacts. Again, this is all coming from his own personal account where he's talking about all these things, but it does go further back than any of this discussion happening just now. That makes this a lot more intriguing. The last thing that makes this intriguing is I'm sure you guys have heard of this guy. His name is Tizzy Int. I see him all over the place all the time. The guy with the long beard who always ends up helping getting the internet to help him find folks that do nefarious, crazy, and a lot of times racist and bigoted and misogynistic online. Tizzy Int jumped on this story as well too, and he had a bit of an explanation as to what happened to him and his stories on TikTok.
So a user here on TikTok named Razzle Dazzle Mo made a video about having information about that guy that he was going to release if that guy didn't swear in the new duly elected official who could be the deciding signature to release the Epstein files. And then that video got taken down. His video and anyone who duetted it, including myself, and I got a strike for it. And then he made an update video explaining that he turned the video over to some journalists to vet the information and go through it properly and release it as such, and that he no longer had the stuff in his possession, and that it had been given to several other people, and in the event that anything happened to him because he had no intentions of harming himself, that would be released, but he's getting just slammed with death threats and hate. So, that video came out. I duetted that video. Today, that video got a community guideline violation, got removed. When I appealed it, appeal denied. TikTok really doesn't want to talk about this. Why would that be? What has happened recently in the news about a purchase and a version of America? And so that video is still up on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, etc.
So apparently, according to a few, there was other folks, again, Reese Waters pointed out other folks that had posted about this and were immediately taken down, community guidelined, and censored over on TikTok. Apparently only over on TikTok for just talking about it. It's just, if if the idea is to try and get this to go away, this is not one of those ways to get it to go away. It's all alleged. It's all the things that, again, our original guy, Razzle Dazzle, said eventually is going to come out based off of these other media folks that he's given it to. And now from years ago, someone else has more receipts if you buy what it is that they're saying or the validity of the things that they've shown. I just wanted to give you guys that update.